Prior to coming here, I had been to 2 different dermatologists in the United States, one in Denver, Colorado, and one in Grand Junction, Colorado, with a basal cell melanoma. And both times surgery was performed, and both times they told me they had it all. And it made quite an indentation here in my skull. So I thought it was all well and good, and so I tried to stay out of the sun and all the little things you're supposed to do to watch that. And several years ago, I believe it was 3 this Christmas, in the middle of that little indentation, I thought it felt like a little tiny blackhead. It was just like the point of a pencil. But it kind of felt funny. It felt like it was a little irritated. And I asked my hairdresser to look at it, and she says, you know, maybe you ought to have it looked at. So I'd heard about David, and I went out to see him. And he told me all the stories of how he got started and how it worked, and I was like, oh my goodness, this is kind of scary. I'm not sure I want to do this. When I went to his house, there was a lady from England, and she had breast cancer, and she was telling me how everything had worked for her and where she was, and she was going home, and she was clear of cancer. And so I was still kind of scared because it was on my head. I called one of the first ladies that he had treated, and she said, don't be afraid of it, because if it's not cancer, it won't do anything. And if it is, it will only eat the cancer that it needs to eat and not damage anything else. So I told him to go ahead, and he told me that I couldn't wash my hair for 24 hours. And within an hour, it started hurting. And it hurt really bad. And it got bigger and bigger and bigger. And it was 32 days, and by the time it ended up, it was the size of $50. And it was weeping and draining. And of course, he told me that there might be red streaks come down my forehead. It would look like blood poisoning, but that would be okay. Well, it didn't come this way. It went this way. And about 6 or 7 days later, I went to him, and I'm crying, and I said, I cannot brush my hair. I cannot touch the top of my head. Well, one of the roots had come across like this, and there was another little cancer popped out. So then I was really scared. I was like, oh my goodness. He said, well, don't worry about it, because as it recedes and the roots are killed, it may recede. If not, we will treat it independently. Everything went away. You can't even see a scar there now. Then last year, I said to him, you know where that little cancer was up there? I said, you know, it went away, but I said, there's always been a little bump, and it itches right now. He said, well, I said, do you mind if I cut a little hair off? And I go, well, as long as you can't see it. So he did. Put it on there, and I hadn't even walked out of the office, and it started hurting. And we took care of that one. And I've had this one removed. That one's only about a 12-day one.
Where is it again?
On my arm, right here. You can just see a little, it looks like a little scar tissue, but it's not much, okay? And I don't know where I would have been had I gone to conventional doctors, because they would cut and cut and cut. And you really don't know where the roots go. And whatever it is he puts on, wherever the roots are, they show up. And they get bright red. They look like blood poisoning lines. And as it heals, those recede. It just eats them out. And without Dr. David, it's an unorthodox treatment, I understand, but I do believe in it because I know it works.